I don't want to say.
Good evening, Manchester United fans from around the world. It's same old same, and with me too this evening is Kule Williams. I'm still Afolabi Olaloku. You're welcome to the show. So it ended 2-0 in favor of Crystal Palace against Manchester United. Kule, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the experiment with Mino up front clearly hasn't worked out. Although, as I was watching the game, they did say that 19 of our 20 goals are scored in the second half. And I think that risk of not putting on a striker in the first half and then playing 45 minutes of striker in the second half, it doesn't pay off. I prefer us playing a striker proper. Who's this chap that we're trying to get in as a striker before the window closes?
Mattis Tell.
Tell, yes, William Tell. Yes, I think that maybe Amarim is trying to. I agree with some people are saying that maybe Amarim is trying to say I need a striker by not playing either of those two strikers. I think that as a United fan, I'm not really upset what happens with any of the games in the league, so long as we get up to our 45 points and we are safe. We
Yes,
know that we still have a chance of getting Champions League through Europa.
yeah, sure.
And the teams in Europa are actually not really that good. They're actually of Crystal Palace level or worse. So that's where my hopes lie. My only real disappointment, can you really be disappointed? I mean,
No,
because he's been
not really.
given, you can't polish a turd. You can roll it in glitter, but it's still a turd. And this squad is nonsense. And what is the point of bringing in Amarim and then not giving him a window? They should have just let Ten Hag wander on to the end of the season. Is it that they think that Amarim is going to tell them something in their ear and they're magically going to start playing like Real Madrid? Because I don't know, Ineos think that they can be great without spending money. You can't be great without spending money. Now we've lost the only left-footed centre back that we have. We've only got the one that Martinez is the only left-footed centre back that can play the ball out
Yeah,
from the back. He's
and
gone.
he's injured
So
now.
what are we going to? If you're a serious team, you are going to get a quality one and replace him. But we're not going to do that. Meanwhile we're thinking of selling Mino and thinking of selling Mino, thinking of selling Garnacho, our best young promising players who are young enough to be molded into any kind of system. They're not
Yeah,
yet old enough to have the kind of problem that a Bruno or a Rashford, who is in their late 20s or 30s, can have, where you can't teach an old dog new tricks. They're still young, they're still
that's right.
malleable, and you
I
want to
think
sell them.
I think it's high time we start looking for a left-sided center back, a younger left-sided center back, because it's obvious that even in his best season, Lisandro Martinez could not stay the whole season without getting injured. So we just take
That's correct.
advantage of the period he does well because he's actually a very good player. Because at any point in time, he would have these long spells of injury. And then when he's out, and then we go back to the right-footed guys who are not quite as gifted as he is when it comes to passing out from the back, anticipating, building up play. His main strength is ability to build up play from the back. I think I wasn't particularly happy too with the experiment in front, but he worked a T on Thursday in the Europa game. But the sooner the Crystal Palace defense realized what we were trying to do and they figured it out, they became more physical. So the Man U now realized that they needed some kind of physical presence in the box. But I thought bringing those two guys on in the second half was a tad too late. And then secondly, I felt he should have done it, maybe not bring the two of them together at the same time, maybe allowed one to go in and perhaps see how the game goes. And then those substitutions, I don't think he quite did them right. And one thing Man United need to realize is it's going to be a long journey. You are bringing in a coach that plays three at the back with wing backs. It happened to Chelsea several years back when Conte left and they brought in Mauricio Sarri. It's a different setup entirely, different kind of players. You're going to have to change so many things. And I think both De Ligt and Maguire are still a little bit too slow. In defensive transitions, it's difficult for them to read passes and pick up. If you look at the way the
We
second
missed the
pass,
limp today. He didn't play. Dylan
He
didn't
played.
play today.
No, he came on. He came on for Mazraoui in the second half.
That's after the horse had bolted.
Yes, he came on for Mazraoui.
So there's
So,
nothing, he can't undo the goal that was scored.
yeah, Maguire looked a little bit lost, and I think it's because of his pace. He can pass from the back, he can head the ball well, but when you are defending a transition, he's very, very slow.
Yes,
I don't know how to.
he's
But
too slow.
This Heaven guy, I don't think there's any reason allowing him to bed in. I think he can just start. He's walked right into the first team. I think they should start using him, in my own opinion. We need younger, fitter, and more athletic defenders, frankly. You could see that in like
Well,
Euro.
yes, we bought a lot of teenagers. We bought Euro, we bought Heaven. We bought one other South American guy that's going to come to us in the summer.
Who's supposed to be left back, I think.
Yes. Then we bought Dogu.
Chidobe
We got
Martin.
Chidobe. We've got Kone. I mean, we've got Ugarte. We've got Collier. These are all very, very, very young players.
But I'm being told
all of them are not quite right. They're like green banana they're like green banana.
They said that this Heaven guy walked straight into the first team. So there must be something they've seen in terms of maturity that gives them that confidence that he can start off from the first.
Heaven, where does Heaven play?
He was bought from Arsenal. He's a defender. He's a central defender.
Yes, he's a centre back, but I'm not sure whether he's left-footed or right-footed.
He's right-footed. I think he's right. I'm not sure. I think he's right.
I think we need the squad needs 5 centre backs, and at least 2 of them need to be left-footed.
Left-footed,
yes. At least 2 of them.
Yes, because if you are playing 3 centre backs every game, you would imagine that if one gets injured, you need at least 2 or 3 to replace them. So if you are playing 3 at the back, you need more defenders. You need more centre backs. If you're playing,
and you see, he doesn't play. We are beginning to learn something. Ideally, what Amorim wants to do is he wants to play Ahmad and Garnacho as wingers, not as a supporting forwards to the striker. He actually wants to play them as wingers, and he would rather play Mazraoui as a right centre back. Everyone thinks that he plays with wing backs. He doesn't play with wing backs. He plays with wingers. He plays with 3 centre backs and a defensive midfield, and that's his back 4. Then he plays with wing backs who can defend. He plays with wingers, who can defend. So yes, and that's why Malacia is a problem. Malacia is a fullback. Malacia is a pure explanation of the problem. Malacia can't play in Amorim's system because he's too small to be a centre back. So he can't be a left-sided centre back. He's too small. I mean, he's much shorter than even Martinez. Martinez is 5'10" or 5'9". This Malacia is 5'5". He's tiny. So he can't play as a left centre back. And then he can't play as a left winger because he's too defensive, because he's a left fullback. So in trying to understand why Malacia doesn't fit into the team, helps you understand the type of player that Amorim is trying to get on the wings. I think that until he gets his wings sorted, players like Højlund and Xerxes are going to struggle. But Xerxes is actually doing better than Højlund. When Xerxes plays, we look more creative in attack. And we get more chances, or other chances fall to other players because he's so good on the ball at moving the ball around and dribbling and turning and he does that better. And although he's not quick on the break, he's always the one that gets the ball when we're trying to go charging on the break. He just looks a bit slow when he's running with the ball. But he is actually, to my mind, Xerxes is doing better than Højlund as of the moment.
Sure, absolutely. I feel the same thing too. And if you look at like what you said, I feel the new guy they just bought, Patrick Dogu, the guy that came from Lecce, if he nails down the left wing back position and Dalot goes back to the right, then they could start using Mazraoui as one of the centre backs. That looks like
for me. Problem is that we've now lost Martinez for hello.
Yeah, we've lost Martinez.
Problem is we've now lost Martinez for most of the season.
Yes,
so there's now a new problem.
There's a new problem, and we can't solve that problem in under 48 hours. I don't see where we're going to get a replacement. I said, and we can't solve that problem in just under 48 hours. The window closes tomorrow. So I don't see how they're going to solve that problem
Yeah, the window closes. Is it tomorrow night or is it tonight?
No, tomorrow night.
Is
I
it
think it's
midnight
tomorrow.
tonight or
No, tomorrow. I
midnight
think it's
tomorrow?
tomorrow night. I think it's tomorrow night.
Uh,
I think it's tomorrow night because they keep saying tomorrow is deadline
uh-huh.
day. So I expect a flurry of activities will still be done. A lot of deals will be done tomorrow. A lot of the Willy Wonky deals will be done tomorrow.
Yes. Yes, Dogu is going to come straight in, but you're going to see Dogu play as that left wing. He's not a left back. Thank God Dallo can now rotate with Mazraoui on the right. Because
Yes.
see, let me tell you something about Dallo. It's not fair. All this criticism Dallo is getting, it's not fair because he's a right back playing on the left.
No, sure.
So he's
right
always
back.
on the wrong foot when he's getting the ball in
Of
defense
course.
or attack. So
Of course. He can't
the
even
defender
cross
is always
the,
getting
he can't
drop
even
on
cross
him
the ball
because
with
he's
his
always
left
playing on
leg.
his weaker leg.
He can't even cross the ball very
Yeah,
well
so
with
he's
his
always
left
playing
leg.
on his
Yeah.
weaker leg. So,
Yeah.
so it's not fair on him. Dallo has been an excellent servant as a right back. So, but Dogu is just one guy. Who's going to replace Dogu? And Dogu needs to rotate. Who's going to rotate Dogu?
That's
You see,
just
we
it.
can't be preoccupied with the first 11. Who is going to rotate? Dogu. You need two on the left, two on the right. You need two for every position in the system. The only place you don't need two is center back, where you can have five and you can rotate. But every other position,
you almost
you
resigned
need
to not having
two.
Luke Shaw again this season.
Oh, Luke Shaw, Mr. He's sick. No,
He could be
Luke
back.
Shaw is one of the best. He can play as a left center back.
If
He
he
can
comes
also
back,
play as a left wing back. He's back, but he'll be injured again before Martinez is fit again.
no, but there's very little left. We're in February. We're just left in March, April. Everything ends in May.
Everything ends in May. Yeah, but apparently he's almost fit. So was he on the bench?
Yeah,
I didn't
he's
see the
close to
bench.
fitness. He's close to fitness.
So
I think we're going to be
around.
fine on that side. We're going to be fine on that side at least until May. Hopefully.
He'll be able to give us at least 6 or 7 minutes worth of football before he picks up another injury. You thought I was going to say games, right? No, I don't think he's going to last that long. I wish he could last as long as Martinez is out. If he lasts long enough as Martinez is out, he'll just slot in where Martinez is as a right fullback and Dogu can come. But then we're like Arsenal. Anything happens to that first 11 and it's over.
Exactly.
Which is what I can't stand. You know, when fans are saying, oh, I want this, I like Mazraoui, get rid of Dallo. If you keep Mazraoui and get rid of Dallo, what happens when something happens to Mazraoui? You know, we need to think, you know, as fans, we want somebody competing with them all the time. I know that on Ahmad's wing, we have a lot of players that are able to slot in and play that. I don't know whether Mason Mount is ever going to get fit again for us. We can't sell him. This window has been atrocious. Ineos are not learning. And I blame them 100% because if they had, Jim Ratcliffe said he's a Man United fan through and through, that he loves Man. If he was a real Man United fan, then he knew that since he doesn't have the money to buy the club outright, let somebody else buy the club outright and let it soar. Now they have to destroy the old stadium and build a stadium somewhere else. Old Trafford is gone. Meanwhile, Liverpool have been maintaining their stadium. The stadium is old, but it's modernized. We can't do that anymore because of the cost is too much. Maybe Qatar could have done that, but even Qatar will look at it and say, look, let's get another field. So I blame Jim Ratcliffe 100% if he can't buy
Manchester United. Because Qatar would have
cleared the debt.
They would have put money, of course, they would have cleared the debt, put money into the team. Unlike the Glazers that keep taking money out of the
day one.
Yeah.
They would have cleared the debt on day one. They would have revamped the area on day one. You know, and they'd have had a clear-cut plan whether they want to revamp the stadium or build a new stadium, and they would have gone ahead with it and would have been on the rebuild. And all these problems with FFP and PSR and all these stupid kind of rules were not bound by them because the only clubs that are bound by them is like Man City because they don't have the fans to justify the income to buy the players. We have the fan base to justify the players that we want to buy, but because the owners are not really good with money for our club and don't have our club's best interest at heart,
they are taking money out of the club, pure and simple.
Yes. So if we can't get players to stay in competition for Amorim, I mean, someone likened it, I can't remember who was social media, I think it was Goldbridge or someone was saying that, look, we had a chef before, that's Ten Hag. Ten Hag and Amorim are actually not that much better than each other
Yeah,
in terms
sure.
of technical ability.
Sure.
It's
So one just
personality.
one just plays
So
4-3-3, the other plays
yeah.
3-4-3. That's just basically
And
the
so you say
difference.
it's like somebody cooks Chinese food and somebody cooks Indian food,
Mama put.
or French food, let's say Italian food,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I've now got sweet and sour sauce in the
yeah.
restaurant, and you want me to make a coq au vin. And I'm like, okay, I'm a chef. I'll try to mix it up and it'll be hit and miss, but it's never going to be correct. And then you're going to say, oh, I'm a chef because you're giving me oyster sauce and coq au vin, oyster sauce and sesame oil to make a coq au vin or to make, I don't know, French onion soup. So you have to give him the tools. And if you're not ready to give him the tools, then just let Ten Hag finish the season. Because
Yeah.
we're patient
That's
enough
what they should
to
have
even watch
done.
Amarim's. Yes, because I mean, we don't even mind watching Amarim finish 17th and just beat relegation.
Of
And I
course.
know that
Of
Ten
course.
Hag would have done better than that. This
How
is
do
the
you give a
punishment that
coach?
the fans
How do you
get.
give a coach this kind of job in November? What do you expect him to do?
Yeah, you see, this is what happens because Man United has the same Arteta. It's those Arteta type people in Man United
Yeah.
that put us in this problem.
Yeah.
Because once we figured out that Ten Hag has lost has lost everything and it's all going badly, be like, okay, Amarim, you're coming in at the end of the season. Ten Hag, take us to the end of the season and we're going to call it quits because I know that you can't get us fourth place. Just let him finish the season. Let Amarim come in, and then you can buy your players.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to be in such, because those are Ten Hag players who play in the Ten Hag system. And then Rashford, I mean, why are we always talking about this guy? I don't want to talk about him anymore. I think that he's going to Villa, or I hope he's going to Villa. If he stays, well, then he'll just stay and then he'll keep training until he's fit enough. I don't think that he's good enough to go into this system because this system requires your wingers to defend. The work rate of Rashford is insufficient in this system. I think the best place he can play is not as a winger. He will play as one of the three forwards on the left. That's where I think he can play.
Yeah.
But even those forwards on the left, they do a lot of running. They do a lot of running. I'm not sure Rashford is going to. And then they do a lot of.
You see, the problem I have with this move is that in Aston Villa, you're going to require just as much work rate as was expected from you under Amorim. So I don't know what would change when he goes there.
Let him. What will change is that our wages will go down because then Aston Villa will pay part of their wages. So
yeah, in fact, they're paying 70%. I hear of those wages.
Yeah, and his wages are like 350 grand a week.
A week.
Let them take him. Maybe Rashford even finds form with Villa and he comes back a better player for us. Okay,
perhaps.
Him,
but they've given Aston Villa an option to buy for £40 million. If he does well, I'm sure they want to take that option. I'm sure they want to take that option if he does well. And one area that I feel we still have not sorted is our midfield. Sometimes Ugarte looks lost. Like today, I don't know, maybe the physicality of the Premier League games. Sometimes I think they should give Toby Coyler more games. That boy can really do a lot because he's an English. I think he's an English boy, I guess.
I think we had a lot of possession. I don't know. I think that the problems that we had in that game, I missed the second goal. But
it was a defensive transition. We were caught high up after attacking, and then there was a counter attack, and guys couldn't run back.
Didn't have that many opportunities. I still think that the problem is the defense. I mean, if the midfield was that bad, we wouldn't be able to hold possession for long periods of time. And I saw him breaking down the defense quite a lot. I think that the problem today, was there was no punch in attack. And no matter how good your team is, if it shows no punch in attack, everyone starts sitting deep and then starts playing defensively. You're bringing,
especially in the first half, there was no focal point in that attack.
Exactly. There was no release point. And when there's no release point, you're going to have unforced errors. You're going to play the ball in your third. You're going to pass the ball around in your third. So you're going to risk someone nicking the ball. You're going to risk someone making a mistake. And
in fact, there was a move. There was a move I think it was in the first half. They kept passing the ball. Nobody wanted to take responsibility of shooting. They kept passing until Crystal Palace.
Because there's no point man.
There was no point
man. No point man. And Menu's instinct is not to shoot. Menu's instinct is to pass the ball.
It's to create the ball, yeah.
Yeah, I think because he played well as a 10 in the last game, they just, first he's a 6. First he's an 8. He's an 8, right? They now put him as a 6, 1 or 2 games. Mine could be a 6, it could be a 6. Then he now had a good game against the Farmers League, in the Europa League. And they're like, oh, he's a 10, he's a 10. Now you can play against bloody Crystal Palace as a 10. Come on. So, I mean, he gets exposed there. He can't do that. He's still young. I don't think they should experiment too much with Mainu. I mean, we have like 10 or 11 really, really good players under the age of 20.
Yeah.
And we need to be careful with them. And we need to
get this Marticel guy. It will be nice for us. I hope they get him. And I hope we can win the UEFA Cup so that we can qualify for Europe. But I really don't care how we finish, because it's going to be topsy-turvy till the end of the season. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. Till the end of the season.
Yes, this is what happens when fans sack managers. Yeah. This is why we should be careful not to sack managers. We should have stayed behind Ten Hag. He wouldn't have finished in the top 4, but he might have got us into Europa League again, or he might have won the Europa League and got us into Champions League again.
Yeah.
We would have won a few more games,
or even won the FA Cup again. You never know.
Yeah, we might have finished.
He seems to be a very good cup coach.
Yeah, he's a good cup coach. He might have won us a cup and maybe finish 5th or 6th, maybe get us into Champions League. And then we'll say, look, this is what you did last season. You're not moving forward. We've got Amorim in. Amorim will now come in. He'll have a full season and he'll have time to settle in, get the players in, get the players used to his system and knowing how to play his system, and then move on from there. But because you bring him in the middle of the season, because the fans react and you just want to make the fans happy. I mean, look at Ten Hag I think he might be going to Dortmund. I understand that Dortmund might be looking to pick him up. And that's why we're saying he's a rubbish coach. Nobody wants him. He's at Dortmund now. We did this with Ten Hag, with De Gea. Oh, David De Gea, he can't find the club. He's now at Fiorentina. And he's shining there.
Sure.
You see? Look at
there seems to be a common denominator, the Glaziers. The problem is with the club.
Yes, the Glazers don't know what they're doing, and then they like to appease the fans when they get emotional. And we need to be careful when we get emotional and we say things in anger that we don't actually mean, or we mean in the moment, but when you calm down, you now realize maybe it wasn't such a good idea. And that's what's happening. I mean, why did we lose Elanga? We lost another player, Gardner to Everton. And he went on to play for someone else, James Garner. We've lost a lot of good players that we could have developed better. We shouldn't be selling our best youth players.
Yeah. Sure.
I hope Harry Amas is ready for next season, because now if Harry Amas is there, we've got Harry Amas as left back. We've got we still need somebody.
Even this guy that went to
that's going to be a problem for the rest of the season.
Even this guy that went to Ipswich, Axel Tuanzebe, was one I felt we should have given more chance instead of just allowing him to go to Ipswich. It was in the Man United youth setup. Axel Tuanzebe, very lanky, black centre back, but we let him go. So basically, we have a lot of these young players that we should be giving more opportunities, really. But how we get all the deadwood out and replace them in the summer is a big conundrum that I don't know how they're going to solve. They're going to have to sell those players at a giveaway price.
Problem. Yeah, Solskjaer didn't like to rotate his squad properly. And he would have a favorites, and he'd want to play the same 11 every week, like as if they're not human beings and he's playing FIFA manager, and they'll just reset and they'll have energy every game. So he played Maguire and Lindelof all the time. Then he played McFred all the time. And no matter what happened, whether they played well or they played badly or they won or they lost, he would not mix it up. He never played. He ruined this Dutch player's career, Van de Beek. He ruined his career. Yeah. I'm sorry. But I mean, Solskjaer never wanted that player. He never got a chance. He was given 2 minutes. Why would you do that? Look at a proper coach gives a player 20, 30 minutes at a time. You don't give them 2 minutes all the time. He now had like 40 minutes of games, all 2 minutes. Then they say he's rubbish. And then he never played with the first team players. He's always playing in like a secondary competition and without the best players that were available for him to play off. So he says rubbish when he's supplying people who can't score. That was a waste. We almost threw Ahmad away.
We almost threw him away. Thank goodness we did it.
Away. I love Pellistri. Pellistri was so promising.
Yeah, Pellistri, yeah. I wish that guy had stayed. Pellistri was a very promising player. Well, I hope they learn from their mistakes. So, your final thoughts, Kunle? The Arsenal game is on the way.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, I said the Man City Arsenal game is on the way. Your final thoughts?
Man City on the Arsenal game with Man City. I think Arsenal should take them down. Okay. I only want to see Arsenal do well.
That's a typical Mancunian response.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, Arteta club. I like to see them being made fools of because Arteta is the best thing that's happened to Arsenal. Since before he came, they were a joke. They were a club that were ruled by Player FC. They had players.
Of course, since Arsene Wenger is the best thing that has happened to Arsenal.
Yes, and then they got too big for their britches and thought Arsene Wenger wasn't good enough. When Arsene Wenger wasn't getting money to buy new players to compete, and they were building a new stadium, so he wasn't able to get new money.
Of course.
The fans, I don't know who didn't understand that. When he left, Arsenal went into the wilderness again.
Yeah. But Arsene Wenger was a genius at developing young talent. I guess they got carried away with that.
Yes, and then Unai Emery before Arteta, Unai Emery, perfectly good coach, that was sacked by Player FC, just like Ten Hag was sacked by Player FC. So before you can talk about how good a coach you are, you first have to get rid of the dressing room nonsense in the club. And then we can now start having the conversation about whether or not you're a good coach. And some of that has nothing to do with the coach. Some of that has to do with how much you're going to allow the coach to have a free hand. And if you've seen Amorim, the way he talks, when Solskjaer, there was a day Solskjaer criticized Rashford, and he said that Rashford needs to get himself together and think about his football a bit more. Next thing, he's having to apologize because Rashford's people made him apologize, and now you're seeing Amorim. He'll say, I'll give you a chance. If you don't take that chance, I've written you off and you're off. Amorim said he'd rather play a 63-year-old goalkeeping coach than he would
use Rashford.
He didn't use words Rashford, but that's what he said, But I think he wasn't talking about just Rashford. He said that's just how I am with everybody. That you people are asking too many questions about Rashford. That Rashford is not the only person. There's Casemiro, there's Lindelof, Eriksen, but at least Casemiro, Lindelof, and Eriksen are professionals. They train hard, so at least they get in the squad. Rashford is not in the squad because they're saying he's not got the right attitude to train hard.
Yes, and I think even with England, I think he has demonstrated such attitude before. Even under Ten Hag, I don't think those coaches they've all seen something in him that they feel he's not applying himself enough. And I think, like you rightly mentioned, Solskjaer gave him an entitlement mentality, which other coaches were not ready to tolerate. And it was finding it
wasn't
difficult.
Good for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't good for his development. I think that he's been misadvised. He's been developed but to be fair, Solskjaer didn't develop a single player. Not one player improved under Solskjaer's time. Ten Hag improved a lot of players. Rangnick improved Sancho during his time. But these are proper coaches.
It was under Ten Hag we really knew who Garnacho was, basically. It was under Ten Hag we really knew who Garnacho was.
Only the last time we had anybody that spoke about the situation in the club as honestly as Amorim was Rangnick.
Yes, Rangnick.
So the first disaster that we had was getting rid of Rangnick. And I think all the players that Rangnick
and the guy was very outspoken. He said we needed 10 new players, that Man U needed an open heart surgery.
And the 10 new players he listed, all of them are starting for Liverpool, Madrid, Barcelona, Dortmund, Bayern. They're all at the top clubs, shining from Luis Diaz to the CDM for Dortmund. All of them. He called out a list of 10 players who are all top of their game right now.
They blocked a number of the players he recommended were blocked.
Very young.
They didn't
and
give
he
him
identified them, and then Arnold, yes, and then who's the Arnold, the former director, now got him sacked. Yeah. You know, because he was showing him up.
Richard Arnold.
You go and spend. Yes, Richard Arnold. Why would you spend 70 million on Casemiro for a 5-year contract? They spent between 50 and 80 million. I can't remember the exact figure.
For a player who had his better days behind him
for like a year. Yeah, we overpaid for him. It wasn't a bad purchase, but you have to pay value for your player. Otherwise, it's a bad buy. We paid 50 million for Onana. I mean, we didn't need to change our goalkeeper. And ironically, we bought Onana for distribution. Meanwhile, De Gea's distribution figures are higher than Onana's.
Of course, his distribution has been atrocious. Atrocious.
They're higher. And his save percentage rate is higher than Onana's. You know, and he's 32. He's at the peak of his powers. Goalkeepers peak around 32, 33. You know, and we just got rid of a perfect. And then we spent 50 million. That 50 million could have bought a quality defender, could have bought additional outfield player that we needed. We got rid of Romero, who was perfectly happy playing as a second fiddle, a very good backup goalkeeper. You know,
very good at
we waste. And then even Martinez, we overpaid for Martinez.
Yeah,
we did. Player, we overpaid for him. Anthony, they were offering us 34, 40 million. We now waited to the end of the season, and then they said that you now wasted our time. We want 80 million or 90 million, whatever stupid amount. They were offering us much, much less for him.
I think for Anthony and Martinez, because they knew Erik ten Hag was going to come back to Ajax to buy players. I think that was why they took advantage of that and just raised their prices.
And yes, and our fans, they have no football like you. You know, you go and buy a player and you pay too much for him, and they're not thinking, you need this money to buy somebody. They say, it doesn't matter now. If we buy him, he's there. And you don't realize until now the chickens are coming home to roost. We need to buy somebody in January. Where's the money? The money, most of it has gone to field a 30-something-year-old Casemiro, a failed Anthony, you know,
who's not even playing again. When was the last time Casemiro played? Casemiro is not even playing again. When was the last time he played?
Those three players are about almost 300 million. Almost 300 million. And none of them are playing.
Sure.
You know, and then you now add Rashford, who's on 350 grand a week, who isn't playing. You know, it's not that all these players are bad buys, but look at how much you're paying for them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You know,
it's ridiculous. That is really poor negotiating.
Poor negotiation. Yeah.
So when they're trying to negotiate, it's not just about getting the right player. Is getting the right price for the right player. Because you get the wrong price for the right player.
Ineos has not shown that they've put better people in place to make better decisions. They haven't, really.
If we had paid 30 million for Anthony, the pressure wouldn't have been as much on Anthony. It would have been much more relaxed. He would have developed in the same way that Elanga is developed, because Anthony was actually beginning to improve under Amorim. Actually, I think that losing him is going to be a problem for this season. I think that he was actually improving, but then again, it was just too much money. He's never going to be a 90 million pound player. And all these players that they are ripping us off for, they now say they want them back, but they're not ready to pay what we paid to buy them off them.
Of course.
They all want Zexi, but they won't pay what we bought Zexi for. They all want all these players. They want all of them, but they are not ready to pay what they told us to pay. So they know that they did not give us a fair price for them. Otherwise, we'd have just swapped them back if they did.
Sure.
So a lot has to be said for Ineos. Ineos are responsible for anything that goes wrong this season. I won't be heartbroken if we get relegated. I really won't. I really won't be heartbroken if we get relegated.
I hope so.
Because if it means that because it will mean the Glazers will have to go. They will have to just leave because they won't be able to raise enough money to and they won't be seeing any profits. It'll just be better for them to up and sell and just walk if we get relegated or if we don't qualify for any European competition and then we struggle again next season. Because
right now,
I don't mind.
Right now, the Glazers are just using the revenue to service the debt and they're working the rest, basically. They're not helping the club in any way. So, in my own opinion,
and I've been actually more worried. I'd have been actually more worried if I played a team that looked like our best 11 and we lost. Because then you'd be like, so we sort of played a team that was a bit off. Let's be honest. When we saw the team list, everybody was like, this team list is a bit off. So that's why we're not too upset.
Sure.
It's not like we did our best and put our best foot forward. And we need to sort out this service to Højlund. It's affecting the rest of his game now.
Yeah,
because
sure.
now it's no longer about service with Højlund. Now all he's doing is wrestling.
Yeah.
All he's doing is wrestling with the centre backs. He's not playing the ball on the ground. He's not showing any skill. He's just wrestling and trying to hop onto a ball that flies in from Bruno. And that's not good enough. That's not good enough. He's lost direction. He's a better player than what he's going through
presently. I agree with you.
Yeah, he's a better player than what he's going through, and we need to find a way to get him better service. I think that he can be like Chris Wood.
The fact that Fernandez played a little deeper today in midfield, so his creativity was lacking in the final third. So he had to go back, collect the ball and stuff. So basically, I think that affected his game. He would have been more creative if it was further forward.
Yeah, I mean, I remember a game that we played Pogba as a striker I can't remember whether it was under Oli or Mourinho. I think it was under Mourinho. All our strikers were gone, and we played Pogba as a striker. And then the fans now attacked Mourinho for playing Pogba as a striker when we didn't have anybody on the bench as a striker to play. And when you play that kind of unbalanced side, I've never seen us play with a midfielder playing as a striker and we score. Even when we did it with Giggs didn't really have much success when he went from left wing to striker in his last 1 or 2 seasons. It wasn't really that good.
No.
I don't really see it work well. I mean, it worked well for Ronaldo at Madrid, but then again, apart from Atletico and Barcelona, they're playing top teams.
Yeah.
So that's my criticism of Ronaldo and Messi. They keep talking about the greatest. For me, the greatest is Pele.
Yeah.
And the reason I say Pele is the greatest is because for the 3 decades that he was the greatest, nobody else was in the conversation.
Oh yeah.
Nobody.
It was only
decades,
him. It was only him.
And then when Maradona came, nobody else was in the conversation.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody else.
Sure.
And then when Maradona left, from the time Maradona left to the early 2000s, there was nobody.
Yeah, sure.
There was nobody. Then you had Ronaldo and Messi competing.
And Messi, yeah.
And it seemed like they're just competing because you have to have a best player. I'm sure if you go back to that period between Maradona and the emergence of Ronaldo and Messi, you'll find that there's some player that we know very well that will say it was number 1, but you will never be regarded as an all-time. So that's why for me,
I agree with you.
I just, the numbers for Ronaldo and Messi are fantastic.
Yeah,
and make them great. But there's 2 of them. Yeah, and if you say Messi is better, Ronaldo is better, they're always in the conversation with each other. Yeah, nobody can tell me that Messi is the better. End of story. Ronaldo, there's always somebody that will give a counter argument. Yeah, and that will be there forever. That era is Ronaldo and Messi era. It's not the Ronaldo era. It's not the Messi era.
It's Ronaldo and Messi era. We have to round off now, Kone. We have less than a minute. Okay. It's been wonderful discussing Manchester United again. We have Leicester on Friday in the FA Cup. I just sincerely hope we can win at Old Trafford. And from me and Kule Williams, it's bye for now.
Good night from him. Keep watching.